The boy who would become Genghis Khan was not born into a life of power. He was named Temujin, born around 1162 on the harsh Mongolian steppe. His father, Yesuge, was a minor clan chief, but his position was far from secure. The steppe was a fractured land where tribes and clans fought one another for survival, for grazing lands, for honor. This was the environment that shaped Temujin, teaching him that strength and cunning were the only true currencies in a world where life could be ended in an instant. Tragedy struck when he was just 9. His father was poisoned by rival Tatars, shattering his family's world. Without a leader, their clan abandoned Temujin, his mother and siblings. They were cast out, left to fend for themselves. They survived by foraging for roots and hunting small animals, living on the very edge of existence. This period of extreme hardship was a crucible, forging in Temujin an unbreakable will to survive. He was captured and enslaved by a rival clan, forced to wear a wooden collar. Yet even in this desperate situation, his spirit was not broken. He managed a daring escape, building his reputation for extraordinary resolve and resourcefulness. The loss of his father, betrayal by his clan, the struggle for survival, and his enslavement did not crush him. Instead, they became foundational lessons about loyalty, leadership, and the brutal realities of power. Temujin was no longer just a survivor. He was becoming a leader who could inspire loyalty and command respect. Temujin understood a fundamental truth that had eluded many steppe leaders before him. He knew that constant infighting among Mongol tribes was their greatest weakness. An ancient tale: single arrows break, but a bundle of arrows cannot. This became his guiding principle: a single, unified Mongol nation. The process was long and bloody. He defeated rival tribes one by one: Tatars, Merkits, Naimans. With each victory he broke tradition, absorbing conquered people into his forces. He scattered warriors to erase old loyalties and forge a singular Mongol identity. He created a meritocracy. Before, leadership by noble birth. Temujin discarded that. Promotions for skill, bravery, and loyalty to him. Former enemies and low-born could rise if they proved their worth, building a competent, devoted officer corps. In 1206, a great Kurultai met on the Onon River banks. Tribal leaders gathered to formalize unification. Temujin was proclaimed ruler of all Mongols. He received the title Genghis Khan, universal ruler. It was the birth of a nation. For the first time, the nomads were united under a single leader with a single law and shared purpose. The unbreakable bundle of arrows was ready to be aimed at the world. The Mongol army, forged by Genghis Khan, was unlike any military force the world had ever seen. Its power was not based on sheer numbers alone, but on discipline, speed, and brilliant strategy. The core was the Mongol warrior himself, a master horseman from birth. Every soldier was a cavalryman, able to ride for days, sleeping in the saddle and living off the land. They carried everything they needed, from dried meat and curd to a collection of weapons. This mobility gave them advantages that settled infantry-based armies simply could not comprehend or counter. Genghis Khan organized his army with mathematical precision, based on a decimal system. Soldiers were grouped into units of 10, 100, 1,000, and 10,000. This structure was simple, flexible, and incredibly effective for command and control on the battlefield. Discipline was absolute and enforced with an iron will. If one soldier in an arban retreated without orders, all 10 were executed. This fostered intense collective responsibility, ensuring units fought as a cohesive whole. This organization transformed chaotic nomadic raiders into a disciplined professional army. The Mongols perfected psychological warfare and combined arms tactics. Their primary weapon was the powerful composite bow. Their classic tactic was the feigned retreat, luring enemies into pursuit, then surrounding and annihilating them with devastating arrow volleys. They adapted quickly, capturing enemy engineers to build siege weapons, learning to conquer fortified cities across vast territories. Conquering vast territories was one thing, ruling them was an entirely different and more complex challenge. After brutal conquest, the Mongol Empire established unprecedented stability and peace, the Pax Mongolica. Genghis Khan understood that for their empire to thrive, trade and communication must flourish. They were not interested in imposing their own culture or religion on their subjects. Instead, they adopted a pragmatic approach, focusing on law, order, and economic integration. One cornerstone of Mongol administration was religious tolerance. As long as conquered peoples prayed for the Khan and caused no trouble, they were free to practice their faiths. To connect their empire, the Mongols created a revolutionary communication system called the Yam. Relay stations spaced a day's ride apart provided fresh horses, food, and lodging. Messengers could cover over 200 miles daily. The Yam was the nervous system of the empire, enabling administration of distant territories. It also made travel safer for merchants, missionaries, and diplomats. Under Pax Mongolica protection, the legendary Silk Road was revitalized. For the first time, a single power controlled the entire trade route, eliminating constant tolls and banditry. Goods, ideas, technologies, and cultures flowed freely. Chinese gunpowder, printing techniques, Persian astronomy, and medicine spread across continents. This cross-pollination had profound impact on world development, accelerating progress across Eurasia. It laid the groundwork for the modern, interconnected world. The Mongol Empire, forged by the will of one man, was the largest contiguous land empire in human history. Its sheer scale is difficult to comprehend, but its importance extends far beyond territorial size. The empire's most significant legacy was connecting the world, bringing Europe, the Middle East, and Asia under a single administrative umbrella. Genghis Khan's influence can be seen in fundamental principles he established, which outlived his empire. His insistence on rule by law, codified in the Yasa, provided unified legal framework for diverse subjects. His promotion of leaders based on merit rather than birthright was revolutionary, challenging aristocratic systems worldwide. His policies of religious tolerance and support for international trade created a blueprint for governing multi-ethnic, multi-religious states. Of course, the Mongol legacy is also one of brutal conquest and immense destruction. The initial invasions were devastating, and cities that resisted were often utterly destroyed. This side cannot be ignored. Yet it is crucial to look beyond the violence to understand the full picture. The Mongols were not just destroyers, they were also builders. They rebuilt cities, promoted arts and sciences, and facilitated knowledge exchange. Today, the lessons from the Mongol Empire remain surprisingly relevant. They demonstrate how visionary leadership can unite fractured peoples, and how organization and discipline can overcome insurmountable odds. The story teaches us about the power of adaptability, the importance of communication networks, and the benefits of cultural and economic exchange. It is a complex and often contradictory history, one of both terror and tolerance, destruction and creation. But in the story of Genghis Khan and his empire, we see the very foundations of our modern, interconnected world. Being laid on the vast and windswept steppes of Central Asia.